How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my predictions for the new Pokemon that we'll potentially see in 2026 in Pokemon GO. I do also encourage you to share your own predictions in the comment section down below as I go through mine, but we're going to start things off with the Kalos Tour for 2026 in February. So when it comes down to the Kalos Tour for Generation 6, Mega Pokemon were the big feature during that generation, and we've pretty much seen every single Mega Pokemon in Pokemon GO, except for the new ones that were released in Legend ZA. We have a whole new line of Mega Pokemon that could get released into Pokemon GO, or I should say will get eventually released into Pokemon GO, and the only one that we are missing from the original lineup of Mega Pokemon is going to be Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y. Now, I don't actually think we're going to get these two during the Kalos Tour, but given that we don't actually have like a hype Pokemon for this event, because there's no Mega Xerneas or Mega Yveltal, and Mega Zygarde feels too early, Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y could be the big Pokemon they're waiting to release for this event, and it would actually make a lot of sense. Now, with that being said, I also don't feel like this is necessarily going to happen because it is going to be Pokemon GO's 10th year anniversary, and Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y could be the featured Pokemon for the GO Fest rather than the GO Tour. But then again, we could also have a bunch of different Pokemon featured for the 10-year anniversary, and they could just drop Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y for the Kalos Tour. I feel like either is actually a pretty realistic possibility, so we will most likely see this Pokemon released at one of these major events. Now, I did mention Mega Zygarde, and a lot of people have been predicting that we might see Mega Zygarde during the Kalos Tour, but I kind of feel like that's too early, and let me give you a breakdown on why that is. So, we have a lot of new Mega Pokemon that got released in Legend ZA during this past October in 2025, so when it comes down to it, Mega Zygarde is most likely going to be one of the last new Mega Pokemon that they debuted, just given that's like one of the bigger ones that was released during that game. There are so many other ones that they could go with, and they do actually have a Mega Knight for the in-person event, which honestly doesn't look that great. It's actually pretty underwhelming, and if they were to release a new Mega Pokemon from Legend ZA, this could make it a bit more interesting. I still feel like it would be a little bit lacking, but given that Mega Pokemon are kind of the main feature for the Kalos Tour this year, I kind of feel like either we're going to get some new Mega Pokemon, or we're going to see like a new Mega Pokemon Legendary or something like that. And we do actually have more Mega Pokemon that were released with the DLC for Legend ZA, so honestly, there's a lot of options here. So in terms of the Mega Pokemon that we could actually see debut in Pokemon GO as just new releases, I do think that there's a possibility to see Mega Chestnut, Mega Delphox, and Mega Greninja, or Mega Dragonite, Malamar, Victory Bell, or Starmie. Again, we could see Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y, there's always a possibility of that. I don't really think we're going to see Mega Zygarde, but there is supposed to be new Mega levels debuted during the Kalos Tour, Mega Level 4 and Mega Level 5. These were data mined in the code, so we don't exactly know what these Mega levels are going to require, or even what kind of bonuses we're going to get out of them. But those should tie into Mega Pokemon in some sort of way during the Kalos Tour. Now, there was also a prediction to see Zygarde available in raid battles, and that could actually be a pretty big release. I think a lot of people would go ahead and raid this Pokemon just because routes can be kind of tedious. A lot of people really don't like the system, and collecting those Zygarde cells can be quite time consuming. If you could collect those cells from raid battles, I guarantee a lot more people would do those compared to having to do routes. I only know a few people who have actually collected enough Zygarde cells from the route system to take their Zygarde to its complete 100% form. Most people I know are honestly lacking significantly, so if Zygarde was in raid battles, this could actually be quite hype for this event. Otherwise, if you guys have your own predictions for the Kalos Tour, let me know in the comment section down below, but now let's take a look at GO Fest 2026 and the 10th year anniversary for Pokemon GO, which is going to be a pretty big one. So I kind of mentioned this earlier with Mega Mewtwo X and Y potentially being released during the Kalos Tour. Well, if it isn't released during the Kalos Tour, I can almost guarantee it is going to be released during the GO Fest 2026 event. Now, there is also, a prediction that we could see Armor Mewtwo come back with a shiny form potentially, and that would be quite interesting. I guarantee people would be rating this nonstop. When it comes down to Armor Mewtwo, this isn't like the most meta-relevant Pokemon. It has different stats compared to Mewtwo, and it can't even Mega Evolve. But I think just for the aesthetic purpose, I don't know why, this is like one of the most sought after Pokemon in the game. I've seen people make crazy trades for Armored Mewtwo, and it's literally just to have it in their collection. There's no other purpose for it, so I mean, yeah, like Armored Mewtwo coming back into raid battles would be a pretty big deal, especially if you could get a shiny Armored Mewtwo. Now, a few weeks ago, there was a video that got taken down on the official channels going over Armored Mewtwo in its shiny form being from a trade, and I kind of feel like that was a tease in a way. to drop some hype for the upcoming release of this during the 10th year anniversary. I mean, let's be honest here, right? With Scopely taking over Pokemon GO last year, I mean, they want to make as much money as possible. They spent a lot of money to acquire this game. They really want to capitalize on that, and what better way to do that than to have potentially Mega Mewtwo X and Y, and then also Armored Mewtwo available in raid battles. Now, alongside GoFest 2026, we'll see a new mythical Pokemon released. I want to guess that's probably going to be Shiny Hoopa. That one seems to make the most sense to me, but if you guys think it's going to be a different mythical Pokemon, let me know in the comments section. We'll also see Shiny Dreepy. This is almost confirmed because based on the historical pattern of releasing these pseudo-legendary Pokemon, we'll see Shiny Dreepy debut during GoFest 2026, and then we'll have a calm day for that in 2027. Now, some other crazy predictions people have made for GoFest 2026, or just the 10th year anniversary event, are Paradox Pokemon being released. I mean, we could definitely see some Paradox Pokemon enter into Pokemon GO. I think that'd be really cool. Those are from Scarlet and Violet Generation 9. Even though I feel like it's a bit early to see Paradox Pokemon get released into Pokemon GO, honestly, it's really difficult to say. Like, we got Eternatus last year, and I would have never expected that. So, Paradox Pokemon could be coming to Pokemon GO this summer. I would say that is in the realm of possibility. Now, some people were speculating Arceus, which I really don't think that's going to happen. Like, it could happen. It could definitely be, like, you know, a GoFest finale type event where you just raid it to kind of acquire some sort of energy or some sort of candy for it, and maybe you only get one from like a special research or the Go Pass or however they did it for Eternatus. There is that possibility that we do see Arceus get released during the 10-year anniversary, but I do feel like that one is a little bit more far-fetched. Next up, let's talk about the Go Wild Area 2026, which will be taking place in November. So we've had two of these now for 2024 and 2025. For 2024, we had the theme of Poison/Electric for Toxtricity, and then for 2025, we have the theme of Dark/Fairy for Grimmsnarl. Now, in terms of the unreleased Gigantamax Pokemon, we have Pikachu, Eevee, Meowth, Corviknight, Alcremie, Dreadnought, Orbeetle, Colossal, Flapple, Appletun, Sandaconda, Centiskorch, Hatterene, Copperajah, Duraludon, Urshifu, and then that's pretty much it. Now, people were speculating that the featured Gmax Pokemon during that event could be Dreadnought or Colossal, but I kind of feel like those two aren't hype enough. Duraludon could make sense, Hatterene could make sense, but we also had the Fairy type for 2025, so maybe not that Pokemon. Centiskorch could make sense, and then Flapple and Appletun could actually be really good ones. But you know what? Urshifu actually makes a lot of sense. That is one that I feel like they could be saving for a Go Wild Area event. If not in 2026, definitely in 2027 if this Pokemon isn't released. I feel like Urshifu is the perfect Pokemon for a big event like this. Otherwise, it's really difficult to say. I feel like the other unreleased Gigantamax Pokemon really aren't as interesting. I mean, we had Toxtricity and Grimmsnarl, which were both extremely popular Pokemon. So let me know your own predictions on what you think is going to be the featured Gigantamax Pokemon for the Go Wild Area in 2026. We do have a lot of unreleased Pokemon. Some of them are most likely going to be featured during Max Battle Days this year, but there is going to be one in particular that is going to be the theme for 2026 for the Go Wild Area. Next up, let's talk about the Calm Day predictions for 2026. So there could be a lot of different Calm Day predictions. I'm just going to go over what I think are the more guaranteed ones. So we already have two Calm Days that were announced, or at least one was announced, and then one is going to be speculated just based on the data mines. First of all, we have January, which is going to feature Grookey. That's going to evolve all the way up into Rillaboom, and then it's going to get the exclusive moveset Frenzy Plant plus the signature moveset Drum Beating. And then for February, we actually got the leak in a recent data mine that it's going to be Vulpix and Alolan Vulpix. Now, following that, in terms of the actual predictions, or at least the ones that I'm just going to say are pretty much guaranteed here, in March, we're most likely going to have Scorbunny. Last year, we did have Fuecoco, which is going to be the Fire-type starter for Generation 9, so we're going to have the Fire-type starter for Generation 8 in March just to kind of repeat that pattern. And Scorbunny is going to evolve all the way up into Cinderace, and it's going to get access to the Legacy moveset Blast Burn, plus a signature moveset Pyro Ball. Now, for the June Calm Day, this has always been a pseudo-legendary Pokemon that was released during the previous year's Go Fest. It's been like this for the past couple of years. And so we'll most likely see Frigibax in 2026 because they did skip Gen 8 last year, and so they just jumped straight to Gen 9. And we'll most likely see Dreepy featured in June 2027. That seems to make the most sense. Again, Frigibax was the new shiny pseudo-legendary Pokemon featured during Go Fest last year, and so it just makes sense to follow the same pattern. It's been like this for the last couple of years, so I imagine it's going to be the same going forward. And finally, we do have July, which has always been a water type, the water type featured starter Pokemon. So that's going to be Sobble for Generation 8, which evolves all the way up into Inteleon. And so Inteleon is going to get access to Hydro Cannon as the Legacy moveset. moveset plus its signature moveset Snipe Shot. Now in terms of the other months, it's really difficult to predict what comm days we're probably going to be getting. Like there's really no rhyme or reason or patterns that we can look back on. The only patterns that we really have are for the comm day starters and then also for the pseudo legendary in June. Those are the only consistent patterns that we've actually seen. Everything else is kind of a wild card. Although I do have to say, I think there is a chance we might see Pawniard next year. Next up, let's go over Giovanni and the upcoming Shadow Legendary Pokemon. So every season in Pokemon Go, we have at least one Team Go Rocket takeover event, and the rotations do change for Giovanni. We get the next Shadow Legendary Pokemon. So for the winter season, it's most likely going to follow the same pattern, right? We got Tornadus first. That means Thundurus or Landorus Incarnate are going to be next. And the same thing is also true for the spring season. We'll see either one of those two featured during that time. So for the next 2 seasons, we essentially have the next 2 Shadow Legendary Pokemon already locked in. Now for the summer season, this one is a little bit tougher to predict. We haven't actually gotten to see a Zelf or Mesprit in their shadow form, so we might see those Pokemon. But given that, Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus are in Generation 5, I feel like we kind of skipped past those Generation 4 Pokemon, which is okay. It is what it is. Maybe we'll see those Pokemon get, featured in raid battles at some point. So if we're going off Generation 5, I think it's more likely that we're going to see Cobalion, Virizion, or Terrakion. And so if that is the case, we'll see that for the summer season as well as the fall season. Now when it comes down to the Shadow Legendary raid pool, we've actually had a bit of a shift in how this works, and that was interesting to see. So for January, we're going to have Shadow Cresselia, which was also available during the Go Wild area in 2025. That was during November. So it makes sense that we'll most likely see Darkrai featured in February, just following the same pattern. And then when it comes down to March and April, we'll most likely see Dialga and Palkia featured. Now they've always debuted the new Shadow Legendary Pokemon first through Giovanni, so after April, we're going to be all caught up. And yeah, technically we could see Tornadus featured next, and so that could be the May Pokemon, but then we'll really be caught up. So I'd have to imagine we'll probably go back now and start over the rotation again with some of the older Shadow Legendary Pokemon like Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, and then we'll kind of go through those. That would make sense to give us, some more time to catch up with Giovanni's rotation of Pokemon, but it's really difficult to say. I mean, they have been changing a lot of things in Pokemon Go, so I don't know if that's going to be a constant. We could see, a new Shadow Legendary Pokemon through the Shadow Legendary raids first, opposed to Giovanni, and that'd be actually pretty crazy just for the entire system, because it's been like this for years now. Let me know your own predictions in the comment section down below. I feel like for the first half of the year, we do have it pretty locked in. Cresselia, Darkrai, Dialga, Palkia, Tornadus potentially, and then we'll start to see if we're actually going to get some of the older Shadow Legendary Pokemon coming back into rotation. Now we do also have the Dynamax Legendary weekends, right? So we've been slowly getting the integration of Dynamax Legendary Pokemon, and so we just had a Lugia Dynamax weekend back in November. We're most likely going to have a Ho-Oh Dynamax weekend at the end of January, as it was teased on the calendar. And after that, we'll most likely see Regirock, Registeel, and Regice, Kyogre and Groudon, Dialga and Palkia. So at the very least, I do feel like we're going to complete the Generation 3 Dynamax Legendary Pokemon by the end of 2026 and most likely start on the Generation 4 Pokemon. Now I do have one final prediction, and some of you guys might think this one is a little bit crazy, but maybe not, but for Halloween 2026, I think we're finally going to get Mimikyu. Mimikyu's release honestly feels long overdue, but given that the Alola Tour is upcoming so soon, I mean, to really drop some more hype, having Mimikyu released during 2026 Halloween, it really does make the most sense. And if they don't do that, then we'll definitely see it during the Alola Tour in 2027, because they're not going to leave that Pokemon out. With that being said, though, those are all my predictions for 2026. I'd love to hear if you guys have any more predictions in the comment section down below. Just wanted to put this video together. We'll see if I'm accurate about any of this stuff as we kind of go throughout the year. Overall, I do feel like I have a lot of safe predictions. Nothing is too crazy here, but I do think we're going to see the release of Mega Mewtwo X and Y. Hopefully we get some new Mega Pokemon released during this year in-game, and there's a bunch of other exciting stuff as well, just because it is going to be the 10-year anniversary of Pokemon Go. Otherwise, if you guys do want to check out some more content in the meantime, I'm going to recommend these 2 videos right here, but before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.